So I went back to the hat yesterday and didn't turn my head except to look for cars. Or at least I tried not to. So I'm gonna see how that went. So yeah, I mean you can already see it's definitely on my head. And that's the kind of stuff that happens. Once I got going, I tried to pretty much just stare straight ahead. So yeah, this is pretty nice actually. It actually kind of glides in a way that it doesn't when it's on my vest. Because like, your head is kind of a natural gimbal. Well, your neck is kind of a natural gimbal. But yeah, I mean, anytime I do anything, if I wipe sweat off my forehead, I mean, it's gonna, but as long as I only have to edit out, 5 or 10 of those, it's still workable. And without the vest on, it's much easier to actually run up this hill. All right, so yeah, that's great. I mean, except for a few hiccups that I'm gonna just edit out, that's just as good as the vest. I think these short transitions are good for when I just skip ahead a little bit. And there's no handle on either one. This is the very end of this clip, and this is the very beginning of this clip. So I have to, maybe there's a way to automatically do this, but I have to bring this back 5 frames and this. Well, there's that. Even if I make my cut here before my head jerks, since it's going to fade out after that, these next 3 frames after the cut are going to be visible to varying degrees. As it's fading out, if I jerk my head, it's still going to look bad. That's better. I may need to redo that transition after doing this, but I'm going to double the speed. That's just what I do with these time-shifted clips. I kind of ramp up to that, so I'll make this the 200 point. I think I'm also going to go back to using a motion blur. I haven't been doing that the last few times. All right, so there's another one. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, there's like a ton of them, so, but I like that one. Oh, crash zoom. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Oh, Jesus. This is kind of what I had in mind. Obviously, it doesn't really matter, but I think for this particular transition, since I turned around in between these shots, I think it needs to like fade to something else before fading to the next clip. Oh, there's warp. I'm kind of warping, so you can have it render stuff like that. Convert it from a video with like a transition overlaid on top of it to just the final video. I'll turn it on to user, so it'll only render what I specifically tell it to. And there's that little line. It says how far along it is. There we go. I don't know. I'm going with it. Maybe I'll stretch it out a little bit. In the past, I've just cropped a square out of these videos and put it on Instagram. I think I'm going to start putting them on YouTube, and it needs to be in widescreen. So one option would be to zoom this like not quite widescreen image so that it fills the widescreen, and it would cut off the top and bottom. But I don't really like the idea of doing that and then cropping a square out of it. I could just make a separate timeline set to a square resolution. So that's roughly what I would end up with if I stretched it to widescreen here and then cropped a square out of it. I don't want to do that. When it render caches stuff, you can tell just by the modified date that this is the folder that it's going into. I mean, these are the files, these .dvcc files. I assume that they're just like highly optimized for playback, but it's not like anything that you're gonna play in QuickTime or anything like that. So yeah, I think making a separate square timeline is going to be necessary. But the alternative, if I don't do that, is under effects, there's something called blanking fill. So this, I mean, I'm sure you've seen this a lot on TikTok and Instagram and stuff. I mean, you'd rather just have the whole thing be widescreen, right? Scale, full frame with crop. That's what I want. So now they're all zoomed in to fill the widescreen format now. And yeah, I think that's going to be much better. Okay, so that's a part I want to clean up. So yeah, that's just keeping the frames on each side of the transition as similar as possible. And then there's this little jerk. And there's another one. So there's more of this that I have to, and it's not a huge deal. But this is why I stopped wearing a hat, is because of this stuff. I just think I kind of need to embrace it and get really quick at editing it out. Alright, so I'll ramp back down to 100% speed, which is still the original time shift, so it's still probably 4 or 5 times faster than real time. These retime keyframes work differently than other ones. When you do like a ramp, with another kind of keyframe, if I said, at this keyframe it's now 100%, well, the keyframe, this thing, would be at 100%. It would be all the way down here. You'd have to explicitly make 2 keyframes to transition between, but the retime keyframes actually sit right in the middle. So I'll aim for maybe 3 or 4 seconds total for the transition. And there's a little bit of lag here. It hasn't rendered any of this, it's just doing it on the fly. And that particular effect, the motion blur, you can also apply in the color page, which is what I'm going to use next. That may end up being a better option. I don't know.